All right, meantime, Americans' view on the economy turned negative, more negative in the third quarter, according to CNBC's All-America Economic Survey. For more, let's bring in CNBC's Steve Liesman. Steve.
Melissa, yeah, we definitely had a turn down. It looks like there's a couple issues here. One is inflation, another is jobs, and I think the shutdown also looks to be bothering average Americans. And it's kind of a reality check. Obviously, you cover the stock market every day. It's been going up, people getting wealthier, not necessarily getting that loving feeling throughout America. We polled 1,000 people. Take a look, for example, at the jobs data. You can see, or there's the inflation data. 75%, put those two blue bars together, think prices are rising, and 50% say they're rising faster than usual. A key part of that graph, you can't see it there, but a very low number think their wages are going to be increasing. Now, look at the jobs outlook. You can see at a higher percentage than normal are more worried about being able to find a job or worried about losing their job, even though the number who think they can find a job is actually pretty healthy. So, and all of that, by the way, you can look at the individual issues that we ask about President Trump, and you can see he does well on the southern border, but more negative on deporting illegal immigrants. And those two on the bottom, I think, are key. Got way more negative, that minus 15% on tariffs, and more negative still on inflation and the cost of living. So those are the things bothering Americans. Stocks continue to go up. They're not that pessimistic on the stock market, but gold was the number one choice among when we asked people what the best investment was.
Which seems telling in and of itself, Steve. Is there any breakdown in terms of demographics of your sample?
Oh, sure. A lot of demographic breakdowns. A lot of this is partisan, and you can look at things, and as soon as the party in power changes in the White House, Melissa, you get a flip in terms of how Republicans and Democrats feel about the economy. So we watch independents, and what we find is that Democrats are minus 90, for example, on the president. Republicans are plus 90. But it's the independents that are sort of minus 30, minus 20, both on the president's handling of economic issues and indeed on the economy itself. So that's a place where you might get a little bit closer view of what people really think, aside from the partisanship, which is obviously runs throughout all of this survey.
And was the survey in the field during the shutdown or at the beginning of the shutdown, since we're 17 days in or so?
Yes, it was. We were wondering if this was going to be a quick shutdown, if we should withdraw those questions, but it ended up being a good thing they were in there. And what we find is that 53% of the public says they would, for the economic damage, they would blame Republicans and the president. 37% say Democrats. That's the way they're thinking about it. So, and we're going to talk Monday, Melissa, about Americans' views on health care, which is obviously a big part of the debate surrounding this shutdown.
Steve, it's Karen. Thanks for being on. Let me just do a survey of one, which is you. What's your take on the economy right now?
Well, I think the idea of it being a bifurcated economy certainly is not my own original thought, but I think that's the case. I mean, you look at some of the returns that are out there in the stock market, and really the world that we live in, the milieu that we live in, and it's one where there's a lot of wealth around. I'm not sure that's so true. I think the tariffs have potentially been pretty disruptive on a small business or a small manufacturing level in ways that don't necessarily show up in the data. And of course, we don't have any data. So I am concerned about a kind of hollowing out in the middle and the lower end until these tariffs become something that people understand how to deal with, if they can deal with themselves. But you can imagine places that were getting, small businesses that were getting imports from overseas that now paying more. Maybe their business plan doesn't work. I also think there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and that's something that we've picked up in business surveys as well as small business surveys. And also, I think it's a big deal in the responses that we've been getting.